great way to start off there by just falling to the ground, but it looks like we're live. Cool. No one's on yet, but that's fine. We can go ahead and get started. I always want or rewind it, I guess. Hope everybody's doing spectacular. Trying to start a new tradition here. So basically what we do is we're just gonna go live every Sunday night, hopefully, or at least the majority of Sunday nights. I got my laptop here and got my notebook here, and then we have some baits here as well. So we're just gonna cover a few topics, maybe hang around for an hour and a half or so, not an hour and a half an hour or so, and just do our thing. Different topics every night. I have my laptop here so we can go over news, fishing stuff, whatever you want to do. Go over new products, go over just news in the industry, because I mean, it's what I do. So it's fun to just kind of learn things, know what's going on. And yeah, but before we get into anything, I'm going to close that door behind me so we're not just staring at it. Cool. Okay. Let's see here. So, got a list of topics here that I kind of wanted to talk about. Number one is jigs, because in my opinion, this is one of the best times of year to throw jigs. Hey, we got our first viewer. Appreciate you. In my opinion, it's one of the best times of year to throw a jig. It's my favorite bait to use, and I'm just a big fan. So we'll go over jigs, and then we'll go over the spawn, because at least where I am, we're getting to kind of that pre-spawn time where fish are going to be starting to move up, starting to make beds and getting ready to get their stuff on. What's up, David? Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. So yeah, we're going to go over the spawn, just kind of where you are. Hey, what's up, Connor? How you doing, bud? So, and we'll go over that, and then we'll go over, I'll actually go over some March Madness stuff just because it's interesting, see who you got, and then kind of go over a summary and see what's over. I know you are, David. I appreciate you too. So I don't know if you guys heard, but we're going to go over jigs, spawn, etc., etc. I know, you guys are both my biggest fans, and I appreciate it. Alright, so I guess we'll go right off the bat with jigs. This time of year, I like going with like kind of a smaller presentation just because it's kind of subtle. And you know, it just is an easy meal for those bass. The smaller jigs, they can just slurp them up real quick and don't have to worry about fighting a big craw or something stupid like that. So I got a box of jigs here, go over it. What I've been throwing a lot is the finesse jigs. And I got a few here, and I'll show you what I've been catching a lot of bass on lately. Let's see where it is. Here we go. We got one right here. It's just a little ball head jig, finesse, with a little tiny yum craw on the back, which is super subtle, very finesse, and which is why I have it on the back of this jig here. And then another one that I've been using lately, let's see, I literally just threw it in here. Here we go. Right here, and I just got a little, I think it's a Googan Baits Kraken craw. I can't really tell, yeah, that's it, it's not a rage craw. So we got that here. I've caught a bunch of bass on this recently. And one thing with jigs like this is like, I know a lot of guys like swear by matching your trailers, making sure if you're throwing a black and blue jig that you throw either a black and blue trailer, a blue trailer, a black trailer, whatever. But as you can see right here, I have a green pumpkin trailer on here, and the reason for that is I really just like to mix it up. I like to throw different combinations, throw things maybe that the bass have not seen before, which is why I do that. It just stands out. I mean, when you're fishing ponds, it doesn't matter so much, just because, I mean, a lot of those bass, they're not heavily pressured, so you don't have to necessarily really psych them out with any different colors that they haven't seen before. But when you're fishing those heavier pressured lakes, bigger lakes, say like, I mean, around here, close-ish to me, it's like 3 hours away, but big lakes are like Lake Erie, just stuff like that. And We have Caesars Creek, we have East Fork, and those are the lakes that are heavily pressured, and it's good to just throw something that the bass necessarily haven't seen before, which is why I mix up the combinations, so I don't always throw a black and blue jig or a black and blue trailer on a black and blue jig, and I mix it up, which is why I have that here. I really like the finesse presentation just because, again, it's just, like I said, very subtle, and it's just an easy meal for those bass. So, I think this is, I'm not quite sure what this is. I think it's a Strike King finesse jig. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what this one is. So if any of you guys are watching, just let me know what your favorite jig is, what you like to throw this time of year. Yeah, that's about it for the finesse jigs. If you have any questions, of course, just type them out right here. Leave them in the comments if you're watching this afterwards. And yeah, so next up here on my list, I have flipping. And I'll go back to the finesse jigs if you have any questions. But I have flipping jigs on here, and I got a few in here. With flipping, I'm not a huge fan of flipping jigs. I only say that because I don't use flipping jigs as much. I usually just use a little punch rig or something like that. But let me find one in here real quick. So with a flipping jib, you kind of got a different head on there. It's more narrow, slender. Just to get through those mats easily and just not get your jig caught up and all that. Let's see, here we go. Here's a flipping jig. So this is a heavier jig. I think it's I want to say it's a ½ ounce. It could be heavier, feels ½ ounce. But as you can see, the head on there is just, it's made for punching. And you with swim jigs, they're kind of similar. The line tie is just a little bit farther down, but yeah, so that's basically what you're looking for when you're flipping. Just something that'll punch through that cover and not going to get caught up as much. And the reason I wanted to go over flipping jigs is because as it warms up and as we start getting higher water temperatures, all that moss, all that algae, all that grass is going to start blooming again. And if you want to get those bass that are deep in the cover, and this kind of applies more to summertime when you're trying to get those bass that are hiding from the sun, getting into the shade, you want to have those jigs that can punch through the cover and really get to the bass that are underneath, and that's where the flipping jig comes into play. Now, with a flipping jig, a downside is, even though it has that weed guard, obviously, like almost all jigs, you're still going to get hung up a lot. You're going to get a lot of trash on your jig just because, obviously, that's not going to protect you from everything. That hook still has room to get snagged up on things, etc., whatever. I mean, just look at that. Grass is going to get on there. I mean, as much as you try not to, it's going to happen. So, when I'm flipping, I really like to just use a flipping reel, like a lead or tungsten weight and some sort of flipping hook so I can Texpose that or something and really get that, that good penetration without going through too much or getting too much grass caught up in my bait, which kind of takes away from the action, etc., etc. So that's why I kind of stray away from flipping jigs, and it's just it's personal preference, obviously. Like you're gonna have your own thing. And yeah, that's basically it with flipping jigs. Throw them around docks sometimes, just do whatever. You can throw them anywhere. It doesn't have to be in grass and whatnot, but that's where a lot of guys throw them and a lot of guys have success. So I guess next we can kind of go over swim jigs. I have 2 Strike King swim jigs right here. They're just 2 that were easy and I could find. Again, that's something you're going to want to throw around grass along with your flipping rig. It's something that goes through the grass easily, penetrates grass, goes through without getting snagged up, and that's why I like to throw them. This is going to be a bait that you're going to want to throw more around summer months, obviously, but even in this cold water, it's a real subtle presentation. You don't have all that thump and vibration like a chatterbait, spinnerbait, crankbait even. So it's just, yeah, again, it's a subtle thing that these bass, I know I'm saying the word subtle a lot, but in cold waters, like it is in most places around the country right now, I mean, even in Texas and Florida, it's still not super warm yet. Okay, I'm wrong. Maybe Florida. I was just there, and it was pretty warm. But even like places like Texas, Cali, it's still not quite to that those warm spring months, and the water temperature is still rising. It's not necessarily at the point where bass are going to be always actively feeding. So subtle is key. Throw it where you think the bass are. You can't be searching around the entire lake because these bass are going to be holding tight to cover, especially the rocks, because rocks hold so much more heat than anything else. So you got to throw on them, and you got to be subtle, which is why I kind of like swim jigs around this time of month, as well as the finesse jigs like I talked about earlier. I was going to touch a little bit on like different heads of jigs. Really, I mean, personally, my favorite type of head on a jig is either like a round head, or I think it's an archy head, which is just kind of that, it's similar to the swim jig. It's just going to be thicker, heavier, and it's just kind of, it penetrates down, it sits on the bottom really nicely. And those are my two favorite. I like the ball head because it's just very versatile. Usually the jig's going to stand straight up, or straight up, whatever, you get the point. And usually, in those types, or when I'm fishing jigs, I'm fishing them around rocks this time of year because there isn't as much cover as, say, the summer months. So when I throw it around rocks and stuff, in my experience, I've seen that it goes through the rocks and it doesn't get hung up in the rocks as much as maybe, say, a football head jig. I mean, with a football head, if I can find one here, you got a lot of area that can get snagged up. Here we go. This is more of an archy head jig right there. Just got the line tie a little different. But yeah, with the football head jig, hang on, let me find one of these real quick. Here we go. Obviously with the football head jig, there's so much surface area for it to get caught in between two rocks or what have you, and that's just not really ideal for me, which is why I go with the round-headed jigs. And that's actually, while I'm here, I might as well shout him out. Huge thanks to my man, Matt. He has his own custom baits, and he threw these together for me. I made a post about them if you didn't see, but they're these really cool jigs. This is not great. Okay, there we go. But as you can see, they're kind of black and blue with some chartreuse and brown, and that really just is so it stands out in the water really well. And that's what I wanted, because a lot of the waters here in Ohio, I mean, there's some clear like rock and rock quarries and stuff that sometimes I'll fish at, but most of the time the water's going to be kind of dingy, which is why I want those darker colors mixed with some chartreuse, just so it's got a good silhouette in the water, but at the same time it stands out to those fish and they have something to lock onto. So big shout out to him. These are super cool jigs. I can't remember. I have to go back to our messages and see, but I know, right? This dingy water is killing me, Ben. I'm waiting for you to go fishing with me, by the way. I need to get you on the water because that would be fun. But yeah, so these are cool. I think I got them in 1/4 ounce. Yes, sir, you're right. Very, very soon. If we don't, I'll be pissed. What's up, D? Glad you can make it this time. I'm trying to do this a little longer so we can actually all join us. But yeah, I got them in 1/4 ounce, 1/2 ounce, and 3/4 ounce. So yeah, I mean, it's a good variety, and I appreciate him coming out. So for those of you that have just joined, I see there's a few more people on here, but we've kind of gone over jigs, finesse flipping, and we've gone over different trailers, like mix and matching different combo. So you're not always going with the same color with different jig trailers. For example, I have a green pumpkin trailer on this black and blue jig, and it's just like if you're in a high pressured area, it's good to mix it up and show those bass something different that they haven't necessarily seen before. And maybe you'll just get them curious, and they'll think, oh, well, it's an easy meal. I don't know what it is necessarily, but I'm gonna eat it anyways. And sometimes they do that. So that's why we do that. And then we just went over flipping and what I like to do for flipping. And then we went over different heads, and I just said, like, I personally enjoy round heads just because they don't get snagged quite as much for me. And of course, if anybody who had any questions or suggestions or like I have my laptop here, we can look stuff up if you have any questions about baits, equipment, reels, rods, whatever. I'm happy to look it up. I want to kind of be interactive with this because that's what this is for. And I said we'll kind of go about half an hour or whatnot. So yeah, I now have a massive pile of jigs on the desk, so that's good. But so next up, I was kind of hoping we would talk a little bit about spawn, just like where you are, what the bass are doing right now, when bass spawn really, what we like to throw, and yeah, we'll kind of get into it. So first, I'll kind of go over where I am and what the bass are doing right now. So in Ohio, we had if you saw my video where I caught like 6 or 7 bass, it was getting warm. It was like the temperatures were finally creeping up. It was like mid 70s. What's up, Grant? How you doing, man? It was mid 70s, and the bass were finally, they were trying to move up. And then we had a massive cold front. Actually, I went to Florida, and when I came back, it was like 40 degrees. And that was a massive, massive bummer. No, you should not straight pipe your truck. That would be obnoxious, and don't be one of those guys. Anyways, I came back from Florida. It was super cold, and it kind of just threw those bass in a crazy funk. And that kind of sucked because those bass were getting ready to move up, getting ready to spawn, and then they got all confused because the water suddenly dropped back down. So it's kind of got them into a funk right now, and yeah, it's a struggle for sure. I've caught like a few bass over the past few weeks, but other than that, they're kind of messed up. So the water temperature right now is, I don't know, like 45, low 40s, and that's not ideal. These bass are gonna be super inactive right now. So that's kind of where I'm at, and it's a big bummer, but the forecast is somewhat promising. Like, we got some temperatures that are gonna start bumping up, and I'm happy about that. But we really need those water temperatures to be around 55 to 60 degrees for those bass to start moving up again. And we were getting to that, but it just didn't happen. So if you guys want to say where you are, what the bass are doing right now, do it, because I'm super interested to know what you're dealing with right now. So yeah, just throw a comment right there and tell me. So baits. The spawn is it can be a really awesome time to catch fish, and also a really frustrating time to catch fish because the bass are going to be locked on beds, and they're not going to be roaming around as much for the most part. Now, obviously, if you're fishing a bigger lake, there's going to be bass spawning and then other bass not spawning. But if you're trying to catch if you're trying to catch bass on beds, it can be a struggle because they're locked on. They don't want to leave that bed. They're guarding that fry, and you really have to get them mad to bite. You're not going to get these fish to bite because like they're hungry. You're going to get the bass to bite because they're mad at you. They're mad at your bait. So what I like to throw, and this is something I don't see a lot of people throwing, but I like to throw like a big swim bait. And around here, we have bluegill. That's one of the main forages. Let me get this light. It's kind of bothering me that it's shining so hard on my face. Okay, that looks a little better. But so I like to throw big swim bait. And so I'll throw a big bluegill swim bait. I don't have one with me right now. It's out in the car. But, and I just like to swim it over and just drop it on their bed. So it kind of looks like they're trying to eat at the eggs or whatever. And what you'll notice is that you can be on one part of the bed and the bass could care less. They just swim off, they look at it, swim away. But if you get into that hot spot on the bed, what's up, Big James? Or that's what I'm going to call you, because I guess I'll just call you James, but Big Game James Fishing. Glad you could join us. We're just talking about all kinds of different stuff. And thanks for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. Really just talking about spawn right now. But, so swim baits. Phenomenal bed fishing. I mean, I know a lot of guys don't do this. Oh, yeah? Yeah, I am not fishing now because it's dark outside and it is freezing cold and it's raining, so it's pretty sweet. But with swim baits, I like to just swim over, drop them, and once you hit that hot spot, you'll be shocked at how like vicious these strikes can be. But it takes time, it takes effort. You got to really be focused in on what you're like what you're doing. You have to be watching that bait, and you might not even feel the bite sometimes, but they'll just pick it up and swim away. And then other times you'll have fish that just destroy it and it'll almost jerk the rod out of your hand. So it's just kind of different. What is that? You have to be the best. You have to do the, well, that's true. That's very true. Throw a swim bait bin, yeah. So yeah, swim baits, that's one of my favorite bed fishing baits. Secondly, I really like a fluke, and that kind of goes along with the swim bait. It looks like a little minnow or some little creature that's just getting angry at it, or eating their little eggs and fry, and they just get mad really quick. So fluke, and I like to throw a white just because it imitates a minnow and I can see it. And that's really key because they don't hit the fluke super hard usually, in my experience. And then obviously I have Texas rig craws. So let's see, I had one in here, I don't know. But I mean, obviously, if they see a little crawfish, that crawfish is not going to be up to any good on their bed, and they're going to bite it because you don't want crawfish in your bed. If you're a fish, of course, but even if you're a human, that's just not good, right? That was stupid. I'm not about to turn this place into a comedy. Okay, I suck. And then jigs. I don't have a ton of success bed fishing with jigs. And I honestly think because when the fish are on beds, they're so locked on that they just notice the subtle details. There was an interesting video of a guy who had live bait that he would just throw on the beds, and when it was just the live bait, they would attack it instantly. But if he put a hook in there or whatever, they would shy away, and so they're super locked on. They notice the slightest inconsistencies, and I think with a jig, they just see all that. They see the big bulky profile and they really just steer clear because they know it's not real. They know it's just, or they just don't want to deal with it. So I kind of stray away from jigs. And then finally, I have lizards, and lizards are a classic bed fishing bait. I mean, I remember my grandpa using these to catch bass. So lizards are just super key. I like to throw vibrant colors just because for some reason it seems to irritate those bass a little more. And yeah, I don't know, for some reason it just drives them nuts. I think it's just because of all the action and they just can't stand it. So lizards, definitely look for lizards. Yeah, I'm telling you, D, like these things, they go wild over it, and I don't know why. But if you haven't tried the swim bait bite, try it. I think you're from Texas, right? And those bass obviously are big, so, or some of them, the big females. It's harder to catch them obviously because you got to get rid of the male. But those big females will eat a swim bait, and I mean it takes patience, but you'll catch some big fish on those too. So that's about all I have for the spawn. I actually want to do something, so I want to recommend to you each week some sort of cool little product that I like. And obviously, let's go here. I'm going to have to go with my Old Faithful. It's a reel. It is, if we can find it, obviously. The Shimano SLX. Obviously, I only have 58 subs. I'm not sponsored by Shimano. I'm just trying to help you guys out. If you're in the market for a new reel, highly, highly recommend this reel. It's lightweight. I have 12-pound test on. I have 12-pound test on there, and it casts like an absolute dream. I can't recommend it to you more, and it's only $99, so it's not going to break the bank. Look, check it out if you're in the market for a new reel. I know a lot of you guys are because we're getting close to the big, or what am I saying? We're getting close to, you know, when we're going to be out in the water a lot, and I highly recommend it. I do love the Reel D. I mean, I want all you guys to know how awesome it is because Shimano sells $400, $500 reels, and it's not necessarily, obviously they're cool, and you can do the digital chip and have a computer as a reel, but this Shimano SLX is where's it at? Can't talk for 20 minutes straight. It's where it is at. So check it out. You're not going to be let down. I mean, they have all these different features. They have left hand, right hand, 3 models in each, and it's awesome. So check it out. So that's the tackle recommendation for this week, as well as throw a round head or ball head finesse jig, because I've been catching a ton of bass on those lately. And that's really what I'm trying to do this season, is really up my jig game, because it's not the greatest, but I've been catching a lot more fish on them, and I'm slowly starting to figure it out a little more. And I would also encourage you guys to choose a lure this year, choose a bait that you think you need to work on, and start using it. Use it, and really master a technique. This is something I try to do almost every year. It can get hard sometimes, it can even be a little bit boring, but I really want to I want to up my game. So every year I try to pick a certain lure and really start to master it. Last year it was ye old chatterbait, and I mean, I caught a ton of fish on them, and if you saw the video, I was catching tons of fish because I know where to throw it now. I know when to throw it. It was a cloudy, overcast, windy day, and those bass were just feeding, and they were just going ballistic over that chatterbait. So yeah, I challenge you to pick a bait this year and set your mind to learning how to throw it, and really figuring out when to throw it, how to throw it, and just what drives those fish crazy with that bait. Alrighty, we have already done 26 minutes. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, that's awesome actually. To wrap this video up, I want to just go over a few things. First of all, I want to know what your guys' March Madness picks are. I'm gonna have to be honest with you. I mean, obviously I'm at University of Cincinnati. I go there. That was a weird way to say that. Anyways, I'm a student there. I really thought my Bearcats were gonna pull through, and they really let me down. So we're not going to talk about that. But I was hoping UCF would beat Duke. That didn't happen. So honestly, now I'm going to have to go with, I kind of just got to go with Duke winning it all. I hate that. I don't want Duke to go far. They go far all the time. But it's going to happen, unfortunately, and that's my pick. Let me know what your pick below is, or here, because I want to know. But yeah. It's not my first pick. In fact, it's probably my last pick. Yeah, I know, Kyle. Yeah, thanks for coming on, though, bud. Anyways, that's basically going to do it for today's video. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you like these kind of interactive things. I want to do this more consistently. I want to do this every Sunday, or even twice a week, just so I can connect with you guys and really just get a feel for what you guys like, and we can even chat. I'm hoping. Thanks, Ben. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around the whole time. I appreciate that. I'm hoping to have some people on here, have some guests. 5-Minute Mondays tomorrow. Yep. It's a cool one. I think it kind of ties into what I just talked about. Heck yeah. Mine too. But it kind of ties into what I talked about just choosing one thing to really focus on for the rest of the year. But anyways, I'm gonna hopefully have some guests on. I know there's guys around here, and it's not gonna be big time guests yet. Hopefully it'll get to that. That'd be pretty cool. But we're hopefully gonna be having some guests on here. I know a few guys around here that want to come on and just give some insight. And there's guys a lot smarter than me who know a lot more about fishing than I do. And yeah, so we'll have them on next week hopefully, and I think it's gonna be a cool episode. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I gotta clean up this mess, and I got some homework to do. Connor, come down anytime. All you guys can come down. I'm ready to fish with you guys. I got an extra bed, just one though, so keep that in mind. You might have to sleep on the floor. But yeah, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'm excited to see you guys next week. You know what I'm about to say, because I say this every time. Fish hard, learn more, and we're gonna figure out how to end this video. Let's see here. I'll see you guys later.